Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's another updated deck profile for all of you guys today. This time it's on Lair Darkness. So I meant to get this to you guys out last night, but I got sidetracked and unfortunately I forgot to record the video. So yeah, well, here I am now and figured I'd just go ahead and record this right now and yeah, go and bring you guys what I got this time around. Now, I actually changed the direction of this deck almost entirely. Now, of course, I am still running the artifact package. Bear that in mind because, extra deck cards are still a thing, and even though a lot of decks got hit, there's still a lot of new strategies around, and we're pretty much in a very diverse format, which I really like. So I figured I'd share you guys what I got, and yeah, unlike my previous builds though, this is running a 42 card deck this time, which is, might be wondering why. Well, normally I don't like to go past the 40 card mark, but it'll start to make sense as we progress. So anyway, let's get started. All right, starting off with the main deck, 3 copies of Lilith, Lady of Lament. This is easily the best card in the entire deck. You can tribute a card, tribute a dark monster, including herself, to add any, or rather, force your opponent to choose what random trap card to sit on your side of the field. So, and keep in mind the trap cards don't have to be a different name, so it's pretty nice. Of course, she does lose half her attack points when she's normal summon, but when she's special summon, she gets the whole value. But overall, that's not too important. What's really great is that her ability is a quick effect, so as long as Lair is out, she basically acts as a form of disruption. So you get to clear out your opponent's side of the field once per turn, and yeah, she's pretty crazy. Next, 2 copies of Alice, Lady of Lament. So this is the card I completely overlooked from Battle of Chaos. I completely forgot that she was in that set at all. So I was like, oh, I better get these fast. So that's why I had to delay my Lair Darkness deck last month. But anyway, when this card is normal summon, you can target 1 Lady of Lament monster in your graveyard, special summon. And I really love that the Lament archetype is becoming a thing now. So yeah, Alice is definitely a great extender piece. And the fact that she basically acts as a monster reborn on legs, it's pretty nice. But anyway, you can use each of the following effects of Alice, Lady of Lament once per turn. You can banish 1 trap from your hand or your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, so it does not eat up your normal summon. If this card is tributed, or if this card is in its owner's position is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, or just by an opponent's card, I'm sorry, you can add 1 Fiend monster whose combined attack and defense equal to 2,000. So basically, she's a recruiter. She can basically get you access to another Lilith, or if you want. Now, I was a little iffy about running this card, but I decided to run it because it also acts as a form of recursion. 1 copy of Malice. I feel like Alice is what Malice should have been the first time around. I still don't like that Malice requires 2 tributes, but at least you can tribute one of your opponent's monsters as well as one of your own. So there is something there. But overall, Malice is just good because she recurs your trap cards, whether they're in your grave or in your banished pile. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, she is searchable thanks to Alice, so because her attack points do equal to her defense points into 2,000. So yeah, I mean, I figured just try just 1 copy, see how it works. And if I don't like it, I could easily just cut this. All right, so moving on. Running 3 copies of Arima. This basically gets you access to Lair of Darkness just simply by discarding it. Also has a tribute effect where if you tribute a dark monster, you can draw a card, or if you tribute 1 other dark monster other than itself, you get to add a dark monster from your deck whose defense points are 2,000 or higher. So in this case, you're going to search out Darkest Diabolus. I know some people have decided to cut this. I still like to run it simply because he can't be targeted or kaiju'd. And the fact that he also forces a card out of your opponent's hand, whether to put it back to the top or the bottom of the deck, it effectively just sets your opponent back a turn. So now it does have its risk, but still, I think Darkest Diabolus being a 3k beat stick is not bad. If I had King of the Sky Prison, I would actually run it, but unfortunately I don't have it. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at here. Next, so my secondary opener would be Tour Guide from the Underworld. Yeah, she is vulnerable to disruption, but honestly, since I am still running Ties of the Brethren in this deck, I'm not too worried about it simply because, yeah, if I get Veilered, Ash, or Impermed, even Gamma, I still have some way of, pulling something off. And plus, if Tour Guide does go off, you can easily get some of your best cards in the deck. Next being Sangen, which basically searches out a hand trap if it's sent to the graveyard. Since, Sangen's ability is you can search any monster with 1,500 or less attack points, and all the main hand traps have no attack points. So yeah, Sangen's really good for that part. I'm also running 1 Skarm just to, search out another Lilith or anything else I may need. So yeah, both are really good in their respected right. Next, 1 Artifact Scythe, to lock out your opponent from the extra deck for a turn. And 1 Moral Attack. I am surprised Scythe actually dodged the list. I really thought this was going to get banned last time, but I guess we got lucky on this one, I suppose. And just to kind of go ahead and finish up the monsters, I am only running 1 copy of Ash and 1 copy of Ghost Ogre. And again, the reason I'm only running this at just 1 each is simply because Sangan can search either one of this. Well, and plus, even if you do open up with them, that's good. It does open up the window of, searching something else out. But I generally just want to run more of a control style of build of Lair Darkness, simply because, it is a trap-heavy strategy. And hand traps, they're really good and all, but, depending on the matchup will determine, like, how good these really are going to be. Now, Ghost Ogre is still really good this form, especially against the Flunderies, because, you can just pop that field spell. Or if you go against Sword Soul, you can just pop one of their monsters and prevent them from synchro summoning and so on. But anyway, let's go and move on. For spells, running 3 copies of Lair Darkness naturally, since it is your main field spell, turns everything on the field into darks, and also you get to tribute one of your opponent's monsters once per turn to activate an effect. And also during the end phase, which is a mandatory effect, based on whoever's turn it is, you have to summon any number of tokens based on however many monsters were attributed that turn. And again, depending on whose turn it is, will determine which side those tokens will be on. So just bear that in mind. Next, I am running an Extravagance build this time around. If I recall, I did play Prod of Prosperity, if I remember correctly, but I decided to switch it up into an Extravagance build because my theory is that you generally want more hand advantage to draw into more of your trap cards or your disruption pieces in general. And I felt like Prod of Extravagance is a little bit better for this deck. Yeah, Prod of Prosperity is a great card because, you get to dig 6 cards in and just pick whatever card you want. But the thing is, you're only getting 1 card. Whereas in Extravagance, yeah, you get to banish your extra deck at random and draw 2 cards. Now, of course, for this build, I'm not really relying too heavily on my extra deck as much as I did prior. So that's why I decided, you know what, let's go with an Extravagance build. And after testing it out, I kind of like it a lot better. So yeah. And to round up our spells, I am running the 3 Ties of the Brethren, which basically lets you get access to 2 more Fiend monsters depending on what you normal summoned. So yeah, of course, you can't special summon any more monsters or into your battle phase, but if you're going first, it really doesn't matter. You're just mainly trying to wall up and just like have good tribute fodder. So yeah, I'm not running Super Poly in the main. I decided to side it out for this deck because I had another theory, which we'll get to momentarily. But if you do want to main deck Super Poly, you can if you want to. Again, and my reasoning for not running Super Poly in the main is simply because I feel like that's more of a going second card. And for Lair of Darkness, you generally want to go first and set up with as many trap cards as you can. So that's just the idea behind it, really. But let's go and get started with the trap cards. 3 copies of Artifact Sanctum, since, you definitely want to see this in your opening hand, or just search it out with Lilith. 3 Imperm as another hand trap, technically, and I feel like it's still one of the best hand traps in the game. And from here on out, it's going to be a bunch of 2-ofs. So I'm running 2 copies of Back to the Front. And the reason for the 2-off ratios is simply because, thanks to Malice, I can recycle these, so that's why it never really feels like a problem. But yeah, Back to the Front is a really good Monster Reborn. 2 Dogmatic of Punishment, and this is actually one of the reasons why I'm not main decking Super Poly, because if I'm going to get myself locked out of my extra deck anyway, I might as well just side out Super Poly if I don't really need it. So yeah, but luckily I do have another answer for like cards like DPE. I am running 2 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. It's basically a Monster Reborn card. You can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon to your field, but its effects are negated. That's fine. So like if you can force out your opponent to activate DPE, and you still have this set, you can just activate this, steal that DPE, and the best part about it is that DPE's effect says you have to special summon a Destiny Hero. It does not target. So if you steal that monster, that means they're going to have to special summon something else during their next standby phase rather than DPE itself. Plus, if you tribute it off, that means DPE is completely offline anyway. So yeah, Ice Dragon's Prison is really good. Also, you can banish a card. So like if your opponent happens to be on Dragoon or something, this is a good way to out Dragoon as well. So yeah, Ice Dragon's Prison is really good because it doesn't actually destroy, it banishes. It doesn't even target either. So yeah, the only thing that does target is the monster in the graveyard. And then to round up our trap cards, 2 copies of Trap Trick, which is just another copy of Lilith. The only downside is that you're locked to, once you resolve this card, you're locked to only being able to activate 1 more trap card during that turn. So learn how to properly use it, basically. All right, so that rounds up the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. So because I am running Extravagance, I did have to adjust my extra deck accordingly. So running 3 copies of Dark, the Dark Charmer Gloomy. So this is another card that basically helps you play around DPE. So like, again, if you force out the effect, you can summon out a Dark, steal it from your opponent's graveyard, and then, you can distribute it out later. So that way you can just, yeah, basically put it offline. 1 Verity Anaconda, simply because, it's Verity Anaconda. But again, I only just use it if I'm main decking the Super Polys. one Omrage, and of course one Beat Cop. Just figured like some one-ofs I don't really care for. Because again, Dark is probably going to be the one you're going to be making the most out of anything in your extra deck. So that's really the whole reason behind this ratio. 2 Starving Venom and 1 Trifeo Veridum, simply because, you know, Super Poly is on the side again. And they're just generically good cards in general. For my Dogmatica punishment targets, it's going to be 2 copies of Intes. I decided to throw in Wind Pegasus simply because, you know, you can banish it from your graveyard and then just bounce back a card. So it basically gives you an additional disruption or just free additional removal, basically. And 2 copies of Megaclops as just, you know, because it's big, and if I use Dogmatic Punishment to get over something bigger, this is probably going to be the biggest target you can run. If you don't like this, you could also run a 5-headed Link Dragon too, because that's 5k and nothing else is going to be matching that attack strength. So unless your opponent happens to monster that actually got a boost of that much, then yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, Megaclops I figure was pretty good too. All right, and for the side deck, it's pretty self-explanatory. 3 Lancia, you know, for Eldritch. 3 Token Collectors, specifically for the Sword Souls. 2 Super Polys, as I mentioned, I am citing these out. 3 D Barrier, because, you know, depending on what I'm up against will determine whether what I want to lock out. So if it's Sword Soul, I want to lock out Synchros. If it's like some form of Xyz deck like Phantom Knights, I'll just call Xyz. Or any deck that I know is going to run DPE, I'll just say Fusion. Really good equalizer here, 2 evenly matched, and just to deal with, like, just to counter back row removal, Waking the Dragon. So yeah, that's pretty much it, really. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.